haven't done much Buffalo Bills coverage. Just tired. It's really, really hard trying to dig into my own team to really be serious on. It takes a lot to try to explain stuff. Not to say it's always right, but to try to explain your point of view because everything is so complex. There's so many things underneath that are germinating that create these final results, the big stats, the wins, the losses, and this and that. And it's very easy to scan these big ideas and say it is this, this, and this. And sometimes it is, but more often than not, the context underneath. All these little pieces build up to create the puzzle. And you know what? The little pieces at the bottom do not fit in a Twitter blurb. And so sometimes that stuff gets lost. Now, again, it doesn't mean when you try to analyze the underneath stuff, you're right. And sometimes I have a tendency to overanalyze things. But my belief is this is the most complicated game ever created, and it takes complicated answers most of the time for answering these questions about the game of football. Now, I have, if you check my history, I've kind of laid out the framework for the offense that you've seen success this year with the Dolphins 2 or 3 years ago. Maybe it was a lucky guess, maybe whatever. But I have kind of held to that. And I think now Bills fans are seeing the dividends of this pass balanced, being under center, running the football, and using the play action to fuel Allen's talents, this offensive line, and the talent around him. And it's pretty clear. You've seen when Dorsey does not hold to these tenets, struggles and losses occur. And when he does, success and usually a good offensive output follows. Now, it's not always this because it's matchups and this and that. And I've really been hard on Dorsey. And it's a lot of fans now are kind of saying Dorsey, I call him shaky bones, because in order to run a pass balanced offense, you have to have an intestinal fortitude. But I'm also contrarian. And I know there is some tough times with the Bills faithful right now. Lots of injuries, struggle against the Giants. And, let's be fair, that holding call should have cost you the game. But it didn't. You're here now, 3-2, going against the Patriots. And this is an absolutely must win for the Bills season. Now I'm here to offer some very good news, in my opinion, but some hard concern. And I don't know which way it's going to play, but this Patriots game is going to tell me a lot about Dorsey. Now, Dorsey, in my opinion, from what I'm seeing, the philosophies, the responses, is getting more aware of the style needed to fuel this team. And this was not a pretty game by the Bills. You had a pick and you had a turnover by Davis, and that changed things. But in that, there was this inconsistency. But the good news is, for me, who's been very hard on Dorsey, and from what I've called all these years, that I do believe that he is understanding the vision. But while the main parts are now coming clearly, I think, into view with him, there's these critical pieces, the finalization, which is going to cross the divide between understanding what you need to do and understanding what you need to do and implementing it at a high level. And I don't know. So I'm going to go into the Giants and Bills game and kind of focus on this concept that I do believe Dorsey is figuring it out. Just don't know if he'll figure it out fast enough and he'll be able to get that final piece. It's the feel of the game, the tendency to not go chuck and duck Allen bailing out, to hold yourself down and understand game situations. And that last drive with the missed field goal is kind of summing it up for me, this whole concept. So, Bills fans, I want you not to be totally down. I'm a Dolphins fan. You can see my stuff over here. I want you guys to lose. I want my Dolphins to win. We're so close. But I still believe the Dolphins and the Bills will be battling it out week 18 for something critical. I believe both these teams are going to be in the fight, but this game is critical. Anyway, before I get into that final bit over there, I want to say thanks for stopping by. I appreciate all you guys do. The algorithm thing keeps me in business. I don't really like to sell myself, but the likes, the subscribes, the comments, the views, clicking the notification bell, all that stuff keeps Curtis in business and the sponsors happy. So I want to give you a shout out and a shout out to A-Spread, my sponsor, because without the two of you, this show ain't going down. All right, so I'm going to try to deal with concrete stuff. You got 27 carries by your running backs. And on the face of it, this is good news. If you look at Dable, his game plan in overriding philosophy was very similar to what Dable was trying to do. Now, he had no offensive line. He had Tyrod Taylor, who's a vet, but he's not Allen's caliber. But the production was kind of in the same vein. And it's not just about running the football, as I've spoken in the past. I've liked how Dable has gone from just straight draws where guys just go like this and they hand the football off to draw fires and draw semi-fires. And I've explained what that means in the past as well, so I won't get into it here. I like that addition. But the draws themselves are still an overriding weight to the amount of carries you have. And so Dorsey is understanding I got to run more. He's understanding I got to run under center more. I don't know if he's going to continue to use this going forward on a regular basis. I said the consistency with which he holds to it is critical. But I do feel that he is. From watching this game, it started off a little bit like the old Dorsey, but then he quickly started adapting and getting better. But there was a lack of rhythm. And you'll notice that you'll have a successful run on the center. Then you come back to a draw, and it stuffs you. And then you go throw, pass. And so he has to get a better feel for this run game. But it's that last drive when the game was 14-9 that has me both hopeful and concerned. And if you remember, you opened up with 2 inside runs. Now, in theory, this is a good idea. You suck up 2 timeouts. You only got about a minute and 40-something seconds remaining. But when you run the first time under center, and then you run the second one pretty much in the same area, it kind of shows you understand what you need to do, but you're not adjusting enough to kind of add a little spice to the run. When you run the same thing twice and a team kind of knows you're doing that, it makes it more difficult to run in the same hole. So I'm not terribly upset at those 2 runs. I thought that from a conceptual standpoint, Dorsey did a good job. But the last play was a little befuddling. All right, so to go over that last play, battery died out, I have to do a little restart here. You do a draw play that nobody buys. None of the linebackers bite. You actually have 2 guys going into routes. The rest of the guys sitting there. So it's Allen with 2 guys. They're both vertical routes. Allen could have delivered that football to the tight end. If he had a better pass, it might have been a first down. It might have been a catch, but that's not an easy play. And it really leaves him little options. Now, I don't know if Dorsey said, hey, if it's a little difficult, run the football. But also, you got to know Allen's psychology. It's in the heat of the thing. It was open, but it was a hard pass. Why not design something simpler? They got 1 timeout, 45 minute and 30 seconds left. They've only put 3 field goals on all night. They've got a bad offensive line. And so you go vertical. It doesn't go the way you want. You give them the timeout. You let them keep it. And then momentum kind of is going their way. It's not a chip shot field goal. Maybe you should have made the field goal. But then everything kind of stacks in their favor. And then you're down with 2 seconds left, and it should have been game over. You lose. But it should never have came to that. If they had burned the timeout, they never would have got there. It would have forced them to be more impatient and press. So to me, Dorsey really didn't think it through. He didn't devise, hey, you know what? Why don't you devise one of those Allen runs that Dable used to have, the convoys? Maybe do something a little different to make sure the ball keeps that clock ticking, because that's the primary thing. This is a defense-based game, and Dorsey just seemed a little bit like old Dorsey. This is a defensive team that needs to run past balance. It takes a certain mindset. And I don't know if Dorsey has got it. Now, this week against the Patriots, it's a must-win. They struggle now with Judon out. Keon White's got a head injury. They're not the best at stopping the run. But Belichick, I keep talking Dable. Belichick was able to slow down the Dolphins' pass game. Don't you think they're going to be able to do the same thing against you guys? This is the game where Dorsey is going to come through for you, or he's going to cost you. You've got to win this game. They got a bunch of injuries. It's going to be a tight, low-scoring game again. But you got to run that football and not rely on the draws. Understand you're trying to be a physical team to give this defense a rest. You don't always have to score. You got to physically dominate the other side of the football by running under center, mixing it up, sticking sometimes one or two runs and believing your defense is going to slow down that offense. And if you play it right and they bite, the play action will give you the deep play. It's a must win for you guys. You got Tampa next. These are 2 wins you can get where you can finalize this offensive style. Get Von healthier. You can't lose 2 division games. It's not the best situation for you guys. You lost to the Jets. You beat the Dolphins. And now at the Patriots, you got to take them to keep hold of this division. It's going to be huge. And it's not going to come down to Allen so much. It's going to come down to Dorsey having the consistency of his offense to punish this Patriots team, to not let Allen get hurt. Allen's hurt already. You got to keep this guy from taking the beatings. It's a good Patriot defense. And this is a must-win for you guys. I don't know how it's going to play out, but to me, Dorsey's going to be the key. Anyway, good luck. I guess, sort of. I'm a Dolphins fan. I got my Eagles this week. But I do, as viewers of this channel, wish you guys the best of luck. And hopefully for you guys, Dorsey shows himself to not only get the philosophy, but have the intestinal fortitude and the wisdom to dial it up and to add those final pieces to his calling. Anyway, Curtis saying thanks for stopping by. Catch you next time. Be well. Start building your own online sportsbook today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.